Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the main card fights for UFC 253 Adesanya versus Costa. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the main card. So in our first fight, we have in the featherweight division, Dawodu versus Viera Tukhugov. So let's look into this fight right here. This is a very interesting fight right here. Both fighters are the same age. I think they're both born in 91. I think they're both standing the same height. I think they're both around 5'8". The difference is the reach, whereas Dawodu has a 73-inch reach and Tukhugov has a 68-inch reach. But having that inch reach, or having that, 6-inch reach advantage, or however many inch reach advantage that is, his last opponent, Tukhugov's last opponent, Kevin Aguilar, had the same reach and got knocked out in the first round. So just putting it out there. And another comparison I'm going to draw is that Dawodu has a similar, well, not similar style, but at least similar skill set to Lerone Murphy. I'm not saying they're the same fighter or they strike the same or they move the same, but it's kind of similar. Like they're more so in the striker category, but without really being grapplers. Like they have that grappling in them, but it's more so their understanding of wrestling and grappling and how to neutralize the grappling and keep the fight on the feet. That's more so what they are. They're very top-notch strikers. They're well-rounded mixed martial artists, but you know them as fighters that know how they're not really going to get involved with the ground too much, even though Lerone Murphy just knocked out his last opponent on the ground. But they know how to keep the fight on the feet, and they're very good at that. I think Dawodu's takedown defense is a little bit better than Lerone Murphy's, but I think Lerone Murphy's grappling is a little bit better than Dawodu. So Dawodu has the better takedown defense, but Murphy has the better overall grappling. I think Dawodu's better at dealing with kicks. I think Murphy got a better footwork. But yeah, similar styles, or at least similar strengths and similar approaches to things. And Tukhugov went to a draw with Lerone Murphy. At first, early on, he dropped him and won the first round. Then second, third, he got a lot of takedowns, but wasn't able to do much with it. And Murphy was able to just put a striking clinic on him on the feet. And that could play out how this fight could play out. And Dawodu was caught and dropped and submitted in his first fight. So that could very well play out in the case. And you talk about who's more well-rounded, it would be Tukhugov. He's going to be trying to do takedowns, then he's going to strike, whereas Dawodu's just going to come to strike. And how I will lean this fight, I usually lean to the more well-rounded fighter, but I'm going to take a risk here, not just to take a risk, but because I see something. It's not just because I thought, I'm just going to take a risk just to take a risk. I looked at Tukhugov's record, and I'm not really impressed, especially after Kevin Aguilar's last performance where he just looked bad and was just following his opponent around and he just looked amateurish in his last fight. So that's your last win. I mean, you're really your only win in like half a decade, because he spent some time out of the UFC or out inactive for, I think, testing positive or something. Yeah, he spent some time inactive. Then he came back and had a draw with Lerone Murphy. Then we look at his last couple wins. He had like a split decision over Nan Fan and pretty much a lot of wins that weren't impressive. He fought Moicano to a close decision where Moicano won. But when we look at his wins, like he has no, but I look at his wins, he has no impressive wins. Not the most fights as far as in the UFC. He's a high caliber fighter and definitely deserves all his props and respect. But I'm not really impressed by his resume. And also going out there and looking at his Lerone Murphy fight. It was an impressive fight, especially to drop Lerone Murphy and definitely to make it as competitive as he did and to keep up a pace and get those takedowns. But like I said, he did nothing with those takedowns. And the Aguilar win, it already lost value. So given the fact that Tukhugov hasn't accomplished much and Dawodu's on like a 4 or 5 winning streak, and the fact that I think Dawodu can, it's not like Dawodu has not fought Russians or Dagestan. Well, he at least has 4 Russians. He at least has 4 people that want to take him to the ground. Plenty of fighters like that. So it's not nothing new to them. Tukhugov might be probably is the best version of that, but it's nothing new to him, that style. He's already been training. He already know that everybody he fights is going to want to take him down. So that's nothing new. So what I see this fight, like Tukhugov bring a higher level or the highest level of that to him in this fight. But I feel like Dawodu will be able to stuff most of Tukhugov's takedowns. I think he exploits some of their overextensions of Tukhugov's strike. That's one thing that Dawodu's very good at. He's very good at capitalizing on people overextending, whether it be with kicks or punches, leaning just out the way of them, and then come back and countering, maybe make them miss, then hit it with 2 shots, or hit it with 2 shots to end off with a kick, or come up top with 2 shots and come over the head kick up top, or go to the body. He's very good at making people overcommit. I think Tukhugov at times overextends, and Dawodu's very good at, like I said, making people overcommit, overextend, and capitalizing those little short windows. So I see in this fight, like I said, Tukhugov will be the more well-rounded fighter, and he can definitely be a threat in both on the feet, on the ground. He can wrestle him to a decision, possibly. He can catch him on the feet and knock him out. Dawodu is susceptible to getting caught with certain punches, and I'm not saying Tukhugov throws those punches, but he can look at the tape and he can adjust for that. But what I really see in this fight right now is I'm not impressed with Tukhugov's resume as far as of late or as far as in the UFC. I feel like he's been more so praised or put in a position based on what you feel like he can do and who he's trained with and who he's been around with, than more so than what he's actually done inside the octagon. So that's the reason why I'm leaning to Hakeem Dawodu. I feel like Dawodu has a better track record as far as the UFC. He had one loss in the UFC, but outside that, he's been winning. Some close fights, definitely in these last two, but he's been winning. He's been looking like high, and he's been beating some nice, talented fighters. But to get to this point is one, I just feel like Dawodu will be able to stuff to take down Tukhugov, keep the fight where he wants to for the most part, and I think Tukhugov takes him down, I feel like he'll be able to get back to his feet without taking like minutes and like a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, probably a minute at most, get back to his feet and go back to working. Or at least if he does take him down a long period of time, it's not going to be every single round being rinse and repeat looking like that. I feel like Dawodu's going to be able to get back to his feet, go back to his striking, and be the cleaner striker, make Tukhugov miss, and then land the cleaner strikes, land more strikes, land the volume, and dictate the pace of the fight on the feet. So in this fight, I got Hakeem Dawodu via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the women's bantamweight division, Caitlin Viera versus Sijara Eubanks. So this one's going to be just like I picked a Viera fight versus Eubanks, and I'm going to admit I picked a Viera to beat Eubanks. I expect Eubanks to have cardio, because she usually kind of gassed after the first round or second round. And I expect Viera to be the better striker and to beat the grappling to be still lean to Eubanks, but I feel like Viera should have been able to stuff the takedown and really outwork on the feet. And like if she did get a takedown, she would get back to her feet, and Eubanks would be tired, and then she would outwork on the feet and beat her to a decision. And that's kind of saying this fight. But with this fight, I feel like Caitlin Viera has shown more on the ground. She's been in there where, actually credible grapplers with like Sarah McMahon, and she's been in there with Kat Zagano. And in both fights, she looked impressed. I think at first Sarah McMahon was able to do what she was doing for a little bit of a time. Like she got, I think, a takedown or two. And eventually, Viera started to defend the takedown and really started to tear up Sarah McMahon. So for like the opening minute or two, she looked good. But then after that, Viera quickly just started to take the fight over. And that's against a high-level, silver medalist freestyle wrestler in the Olympics. And then Kat Zagano, a title challenger, a fighter who has a win over the current greatest woman of all time in Amanda Nunes. So, and you see her take people down and see her suplex, throw Amanda Nunes down, who even back then was still a physical specimen back then. She was manhandling her after that first round. So you got credible grapplers and credible fighters, and she went out there and really made them look less than stellar. And she didn't stop it. It was like a split decision where it really was a dominant one-sided fight against Zagano. And then she finished McMahon. So she actually had, like I said, against grapplers. And I feel like that's really what Eubanks is going to look to do. I feel like Eubanks is actually the more technical striker in this one, as Viera just kind of just lets her hands go. And that's how she got caught in her last fight. But I feel like Viera is bigger. I feel like her grappling is actually, like I said, she is more credible. I'm not saying more credible than Eubanks, but definitely more credible than Viera. I still think Eubanks is a better grappler in this one. But I think Viera's bigger. She's going to put up that volume. And she's not going to be that fighter that's going to allow Eubanks just to lay on her for 2 rounds or give up these grappling or exchanges. I feel like she'll be able to stuff Eubanks' takedowns. And like I said, similar thing, like be able to stuff the takedown. If she does go for takedowns, be able to get back to her feet. And really just outwork on the volume and make Eubanks fight a tiring pace. Like, so basically just be able to handle the takedowns and the grappling, and maybe even win some of those exchanges. And on the feet, just outland her, and outwork her. So in this fight, I got Caitlin Viera via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the flyweight division, Kai Kara-France versus Brandon Royval. So in this fight right here, Royval will have the height, he'll have the reach. But I think this fight is Royval is the better grappler, but he doesn't have the best offensive takedown. He's very offensive off his back, and he's very dangerous if he can get you down. But I think really when I look at Royval, I think he's most dangerous off his back than he is off on top than anything. I see most times people end up on top of him, but then he finds some bitches. He's not a guy that I already see taking people down, taking them back, and then like pounding them out and getting rear naked chokes, or a guy that is snapping people down and getting guillotines or stuff. He's not. I don't see him with that like offensive danger threat with grappling. It's more so if somebody takes him down. So I see this fight is. And then on the feet, let me see. Before I say how I see this fight is, how I see Royval on his feet is, as I said with the fight with Tim Elliott. I wasn't really talking about just for Tim Elliott in general in the fight, but how I see Royval striking. I see him like, he fights like a guy, his striking looks like he's fighting a punching bag. You know, like your chin's up in the air, you're punching. You know, when somebody trying to look impressive or like make their hands look real fast and they just throwing the punching bag and they're not worrying about defense because obviously the punching bag don't punch back. And they're just throwing like a long combinations. They're not cutting no angles. They're not doing no feints. They're not minding their defense because the punching bag's not punching back. That's how I see Royval. He'll throw a bunch of punches. To end off with a kick, he'll leave his chin high up. He'll be square and he'll just let his hands go as fast as he can throw them. Let his kicks fly as fast as he can throw them. Leave his chin up there. And Kai Kara-France is a high-level striker. But given that height disadvantage and that reach disadvantage, I think Royval can get away with a little bit of that. But I think eventually Kai Kara-France, after a while, will start to pick him on that. And even not picking up on that, I don't think he's really going to land a lot of that wild stuff he likes to throw on the feet. A lot of that wild swinging, inflatable balloon man type strikes. I think he might land look like maybe to some casuals, might look like he's doing something, but for the most part, those shots are going to be hitting arms or hitting air. Maybe one or two of them landing clean. With Kara-France going to be really landing the power shots, really landing shots that's going to pay dividends, chewing up his leg, going to his body, coming up top over his wide looping shots with his chin up, maybe even drop him once or twice. I don't see it as a finish, but I see it as like a decision. But Royval keeping it close, like I said, when you're throwing volume and you're not getting put out of there, or your opponent's not completely just shutting down your striking, or just completely making you miss, it's going to be a close fight. But to the non-casual eye, you're going to see that Kara-France is clearly the one landing more technical strikes and what's named just throwing arm punches. But like I said, the judges will say, oh, he was doing so much volume, he was doing so much this, so much that, so it might be a split decision, it might be a close fight. But to my eyes, it's not going to be a close fight. It's like Kara-France going to be landing the harder, more technical, cleaner shots. And Royval just throwing a lot of looping shots, not really been effective with his takedowns or his grappling approaches. And I think Kara-France might even shooting some takedowns of his own like he did against Paiva. Even though I'm referencing the fight I think Paiva got robbed in, he was able to take down Paiva, I think, once or twice and, you know, get some points over Paiva. And with how Royval fight, like I said, when you're throwing shots like that, you're chin up in the air, you're just throwing any shots, you're open for takedowns. It's not like he throws flying knees or anything like that. It's not like he packs the most power or anything like that. So I feel like Kara-France can duck, especially with the height, you know, that center of gravity, with Kara-France being the shorter fighter, the shorter, stockier fighter, and Royval just throwing so many looping shots like that. I think Kara-France could definitely duck under, get some takedowns, and get some points in that aspect as well. But all in all, Kara-France has been the cleaner, more technical, solid fighter and beating Royval to decisions. So in this fight, I got Kai Kara-France via decision. Now to our co-main event, we have in the light heavyweight division for the undisputed light heavyweight title, the recently vacated by the greatest light heavyweight of all time, Jon Jones, the kingpin for like forever, almost basically a decade, on and off, Jon Jones. So now we got Dominic Reyes, the last man to fight Jon Jones, a man who I felt beat Jon Jones in that fight. I could go more into that. I feel like he beat Jon Jones as far as points wise, but I feel like as far as fight wise, Jon Jones beat him. And I feel like looking back at the fight just like yesterday, I feel like I can see why the judges picked Jon Jones, but I still, in my opinion, feel like Jon Jones lost the point fight. But I feel like Jon Jones won the fight as far as, when you look at the fight, Jon Jones kind of let Reyes kind of burn himself out. It's not like you might feel like Reyes landed so many significant shots, but he really probably only landed like 3 real significant shots throughout the whole fight. But it looked like more. And when I say real significant strikes, I'm not talking about like as far as what fight metrics shows or what the CompuStats show or the computer show. I'm talking about like shots that like really could change the course of the fight, like shots that, oh, that could have knocked Jon Jones out, or that could have really, really hurt Jon Jones and changed the whole really changed the course of the fight, or really would have did something, or paid some dividends or something, like really flush shots. And I say he probably landed about 3 of those. And really in most of the course fight, Jon Jones was defending well. He was staying accurate. Reyes was landing like less than half of the shots he was drawing, and stats show that as well. And Reyes could not keep that pace. He literally kind of gave up he even admitted he gave up the 4th and the 5th. He won the first 3 rounds, then he just let off the gas in the 4th and 5th and couldn't push it. So if that was like a real deal fight to the finish or anything like that, Reyes would have been this gassed or would have had to actually really dig beyond deep to pull something out in that past that 5th round. But like I said, we only got 5 rounds in the fight, but I'm talking about this is a pure fight thing. Like, you know, you're not just hoping that you're just by the basic judging decision that, oh, I'm going to win 3 rounds and take off the last 2 and win on points, that I'll win the fight. But like the whole picture, like the body language, if your strategy or your style would go as far as to actually beat John Jones like you would, is like, I'm going to go out there, come with the perfect strategy or the right strategy or right approach, and I'm not only going to just beat John Jones on points, I'm going to like knock John Jones out, or I'm just going to beat him in every aspect. I'm going to work him from start the first bell to the last bell or something like that. But I feel like it's a fight where on point wise, I still feel like he beat John Jones, but as far as like the actual fight, John Jones for the smartest strategy. He didn't really take the fight out of John Jones. He definitely didn't take the fight out of John Jones. It is like all he did was take advantage of a champion, fighting how champions do when they're long-time champions. They fight to win, not to destroy. They fight out there to not make mistakes, to fight as clean as possible. And really, most times they kind of coast and they kind of come on in the championship rounds. And that's where a lot of champions get caught up in, especially those long-term champions. And that's what all he did. All he did was take off the first 3 rounds. All he did was take the first 3 rounds and then blew his wad. And John Jones, like I said, just kept fighting. He maintained a good pace and then picked it up a little bit, whereas Reyes dipped off and and John Jones won the 4th and 5th. So, and at no point was like John was like, oh, I'm scared I'm gonna lose the belt, or he kind of was scared for losing the belt, but like at no point was like, oh, this guy is so good. At no point was he like, oh, this guy is so good and so that, But yeah, I'm kind of dragging a little bit. So basically, he won the point fight in my opinion. He didn't get his hand raised, but I feel like he won the point fight. He did enough to win the belt, but he didn't really like demoralize or just like actually take the fight away from John Jones and really beat the champion. And for that reason why, especially admitting to take off the 4th and 5th rounds, which are the most important rounds in championship fights, he deserved to lose. So it is what it is. He should have won. Like, he did enough to win the fight, but he didn't do what he really needed to do to win the fight. But in my opinion, he won the fight. But yeah, confusing, but now more to Jan Blachowicz. I see this fight right here. I see a lot of fights close. Like, I see the Adesanya versus Costa fight is a close fight as far as the odds. I'm not talking about, it's my opinion. I'm talking about is the odds saying the Adesanya versus Costa fight is a much closer fight. It's not a neck and neck fight. They clearly got Adesanya as the favorite, but he's not like a huge favorite. Reyes is a huge favorite. I feel like the odds should be switched. I feel like Adesanya should be a huge favorite and Reyes should not. But they're riding off what Reyes did to John Jones or his fight with John Jones. But I feel like this should be one of the closer fights right here, to be honest. Because styles make fights, and Reyes might pose such an interesting threat to John Jones just off styles. But it's not like he's John Jones or he's just such a complete fighter. When you look at Reyes, he really just a striker. He has a submission win on his resume. He does have wrestling, but he's been taken down more times than he's taken fighters down. And he got taken down twice by Uzumir, who's a striker with poor wrestling. So it's not like Reyes is some well-rounded fighter. He's more so a striker. He does have the grappling and the wrestling, but has he ever really shown it? Until he shows it, he's more so a one-dimensional fighter. So he's not John Jones. He doesn't have that amazing fight IQ or amazing this or amazing that. He's just a guy that has a good style to cause John Jones problems, and he did that. But didn't just because he fought John Jones, he beat John Jones for real. So if John Jones would beat Blachowicz, so would Reyes, or Reyes would destroy Blachowicz. I see this fight. I kind of see it being similar to the Volkan Uzumir fight, because I feel like Jan Blachowicz, when I look at him, he has never really lost a striking matchup inside the UFC, except a close one to Jimmy Manua. But outside that, most fighters have beat him. Like, really, every other fighter has beat him by taking him down. Gustafsson took him down. Anderson took him down. etc., took him down. He has never really lost a fight where it's been due to striking. So he's a very high level striker. And most times when guys, even in the fight when he fought Gustafsson, the time when they were standing, he was out striking Gustafsson. So he's good at dealing with boxers, good at dealing with a lot of different strikers. So Reyes really not presenting too much of an arsenal. I mean, he does got more than just that, right hand or left hand or whatnot. But he's still not like, he's not like a John Jones. He's not a guy that's going to mix in grappling and striking. He's more so just going to be striking with you. So that presents. Then also another thing, Blachowicz got good hooks, and Reyes likes to throw punches to the body with his hand, doesn't bring his hand up. You kind of get away with that with John Jones, who has pillow hands. But a guy like Blachowicz, you kind of overcommit on overextend to the body. You're not bringing your mind in your defense. But yeah, like you can get away with that with fighters like pillow fists like John Jones and stuff. But you can't get away with that with Blachowicz. Like with Blachowicz could counter with hooks when he goes to the body, like especially going to like straights or jabs body, like Blachowicz could counter that, or he could bring a head kick up top. And when Reyes circles you, and you gotta realize Blachowicz was not known really when he first came to UFC. I'm not saying he wasn't known for his power in his hands or a kick, but he really wasn't known for his power. The first statement he made in UFC was a kick to the body of Ilir Latifi. So you know him more for his heavy kicks and his heavy punches. His punches are getting heavier now, or he's finally starting landing the way he wants to land them. He's getting more comfortable on the feet, not worrying about wrestling as much because his takedown defense is getting better, so he can put more power on his punches. But the first thing we knew him for his kicking, when Reyes likes to circle a lot, and he doesn't bring his hands down when he's circling. So I feel like Blachowicz can crack him to the body a lot of times when he's circling. He can chew his legs up. But all in all, All I'm saying is stuff out Blachowicz. Like he presents an interesting stat. He definitely does. I don't think Reyes is going to have that second option where he's going to be to take Blachowicz down and implement this great grappling strategy or fight to such a well-rounded fight. If he does, I'll be impressed and he'll prove me a little bit wrong. But how I really see this fight, like I see kind of like the Uzdemir fight, a technical striking matchup with Reyes not really being the more overall technical striker or the better fight IQ or the more solid technical fighter just in general. But the fighter doing a little bit more volume on the feet, doing a little bit more work than Blachowicz, and exploiting the fact that he has that height and reach and youth. And also nothing about Reyes, let me give him a compliment. He does have good reflective reflect. Like when somebody kind of starts to pressure him, like he can roll out, catch him with an uppercut or catch him with a hook. So he does got good reflexes, like, natural instincts for his striking. So on the defensive end, he does have some holes in his defense. I feel like a guy like Blachowicz, especially with power, can exploit them more than a guy like John Jones, who's really not the powerfulest fighter. And even John Jones did exploit them at times in the fight. He did catch him with a couple hooks, did catch him a couple kicks and spinning back kicks. Like I said, John Jones is not really a power fighter, so he could catch him those things and starting will pay dividends, but he's not a guy like, initially he's going to one hit you and catch you at the perfect time, and then damn, you rocked, or damn, you hurt, or damn, I really felt that. It's like, yeah, I caught that, it was stung a bit, but that's about it. By the way, like I said, I feel like it's going to be kind of similar to the Uzdemir fight. Reyes not really being well-rounded or really mixing much in outside of striking, but more so doing more volume. I think he's going to do a little bit more front kicks this fight. He's not worried about takedown. Throw a little bit more kicks, use that range, use the jab a little bit more, and try to, like I said, because against John Jones, it's the same height or roughly the same height. John Jones more reach, so he's kind of trying, his shot selection a little bit different. But in this fight, he's definitely going to be trying to do more shots that exploit his height and reach. So like a lot more front kicks, probably some step aside kicks, little kicks to the leg, and like I said, pick a volume, add volume with those kicks, and then still stick to his jab. But competitive fight and not no easy walkover for Reyes. Close competitive fight, but Reyes just outworking Blachowicz and exploiting his reach. But close competitive, and Reyes, not Reyes, but Blachowicz is definitely not going to be no easy fight. And this is definitely not it's give me as people think it is, or this is definitely not like, it's just Reyes coming to collect the belt that he already earned or something like that. It's not that case. And if Reyes really thinks that, I see high upset potentials in this fight. And it's worth putting some money on Blachowicz, I would say. But how I see the fight is I'm close competitive, but Reyes outworking Blachowicz and using his height and reach and exploiting that. So in this fight, I got Dominic Reyes via decision. Now to our main event we have in the middleweight division, Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa for the undisputed middleweight title. The second time in UFC history that two undefeated fighters are fighting for an undisputed title since, Machida and Machado. So yeah, it's a little bit of historical facts right here, but let's get into this prediction. This might be the shortest prediction, well, not the shortest prediction card, but one of the shorter predictions on this card, as I've already predicted it. And you can go back and watch that prediction. I might even leave the link. But how I see this fight right here is Costa is 2 years younger. He is 3 inches shorter. 8-inch reach disadvantage. So 80-inch reach for Adesanya versus 72-inch reach for Costa. And Adesanya is definitely the much better, more technical striker. But puncher chances exist. It's not like grappling where you can completely just be a better grappler. Like, it's a very slim chance you can get somebody. At any point, even the most untechnical fighter could potentially land that big fight-changing punch and knock somebody out. So, yes, but whatever the case is. As far as technique-wise, Adesanya has a huge gap in striking and stuff. 80 versus 70, and then in the reach as well. So, yeah, huge gap in striking and a huge reach, which will all favor Adesanya heavily. He will use that. It's not like Costa's the most technical fighter. So, 3-inch height advantage, we'll use that with his legs. 80-inch reach, we'll use that with his arms. And use that with a lot of other things. He will mix his kicks and his punches together, switch stance, and all that stuff will make that reach even longer. And then the technical gap between them on the feet. Like I said, Costa's 2 years younger. Then you go get his stats, and you can say, be a little bit confused for whatever reason. Costa lands 8.43 strikes per minute, whereas Adesanya lands like 3.96, or you can round it up to 4. So it's like he's landing more than twice as many strikes per minute than Adesanya. So his work rate is crazy. But when you look at it, most times he's fighting these guys that just were mediocre. He fought Bamboos. He fought Garrett McClellan and Johnny Hendricks, who got knocked up by a gay porn star. And then he fought Uriah Hall, who never been good at dealing with people pressuring him. And then even Dana White, when he was looking at, the tell of the tape and kind of before Royval came to UFC, before he was on all the fights, like amazing fighter, but doesn't do well with pressure. And when he backs up, drops his hand. So that's not impressive. Royval is basically a punching bag when you pressure him. And he had Royval actually looking good. He was busting his lip up, busting his nose up. And you can say, oh, he's this and all that. But look at Derek Brunson. People want to underwrite Derek Brunson, but Derek Brunson, it beat Royval cleaner than anyone has ever beat Royval. He went out there and knocked him out in 2 minutes. Costa took 2 rounds and actually was a competitive fight and was getting bust up, getting tore up. And he was winning those rounds. He won the first round, but he still got bust up and was having a hard time with Royval to eventually was able to land that big shot like a hook when it was called. Royval tried to throw an uppercut, a poor decision to throw an uppercut in the pocket against a man that hit that hard. And like, it's not like Royval moves his feet all that well. He don't do well with pressure, especially when you pressure him. He don't move his feet that well. And before that fight, he was getting destroyed by Krzysztof Jotko the whole fight until he landed one punch. But either way, not the biggest impressive that he beat Royval. It was stylistically wise. He was supposed to beat Royval much easier than he did. And really in that fight, I'm not impressed at all. I'm disappointed actually. And then he beat Romero. You can say, oh, he cut Romero off. But Romero at this point in his career, you got to realize Romero is a 40-plus-year-old wrestler, explosive wrestler who tries to be a striker now. And he knows he don't have the cardio to explode for 3 rounds or 5 rounds, let alone 5 rounds. So what he's going to do, he's going to stay there. He's going to take some time off. He's going to roll with some shots. And he's going to pick and choose when to explode. So, of course, you can punch a guy who's standing there to let you punch him. And he pretty much almost lost that fight. Close fight. And then in the final round, I think they both got dropped in the first round, I believe. Second round was Romero's round. Then the third round, I think, was Romero's round as well. Close striking it, but Romero actually outlanded Costa in that round, and he took him down and kind of ended the round on the takedown. I think Costa got back up, but he still, last thing that happened that round was that Romero got a takedown. So not really impressed at all with Costa. I feel like he should have fought like a Cannonier, for like a Hermanson, at least, or for Whitaker, or for a Gastelum, but he didn't. He fought a Romero on like a 2 or 3, well, like, I don't know, coming off a loss, or at least 1 loss or 2. But yeah, all in all, I'm not impressed with his resume. As far as stylistically wise going against Adesanya, I think what Costa brings to Adesanya more than just power. I think the most interesting thing he could bring in this fight is if he implements grappling. That would make it interesting. But on the feet, I think his style would just make him tailor-made for Adesanya. He's going to come forward. He's going to swing big shots. That's going to allow Adesanya to look good. Adesanya likes to counter. He likes people to bring stuff to him. Like Romero, what made that fight weird was that Romero was not engaging. He was literally just standing in front of him. He wasn't reacting to the feint. He wasn't even throwing strikes. He was trying to wait for Adesanya. He was trying to make Adesanya throw stuff and counter. And what is Costa going to do? Costa knows one day he's going to go for it, and that's what he's going to do. He's going to go for it. He's going to swing big shots. He's going to punch until you go to sleep or destroy you. That's all he's going to do. He's going to go out there like the Incredible Hulk, and he's going to try to smash you. He's not got to come out there and try to fight with no amazing game plan or doing this. He's going to go out there, and he's only going to know one direction, that's going to be forward. And Adesanya is not going to be a guy that's going to be flat-footed and just front of him. He's going to be moving. He's going to be cutting angles. He'll be landing shots and throwing feints and drawing out the big shots of Costa. Like I said, he's going to have that reach. He probably the biggest height disadvantage, biggest reach disadvantage that Costa ever fought. By far the best striker he's ever fought. By far the best fighter he's ever fought. And can he, like I said, the most interesting thing he can do is mixing grappling. Like, and given the fact that he has not shot a single takedown, I don't think all of a sudden he's going to be able to do that consistently, unless he maybe hurts Adesanya first and catches him and then implements grappling, or maybe once he does get him to the ground, he makes quick work of him. But I don't think he's going to be able to do that enough for 5 rounds, consistently for 5 rounds, unless maybe he fights a very smart strategy, which I don't think he's going to implement a smart strategy at all. And like I said, maybe kind of keep the fight stats close enough, maybe give up some round, then in the final round, he implements it like in the 4th round and starts taking them down to try to do stuff. But I see the fight is Costa's going to fight like a knuckle dragon, come out there try to smash Adesanya. Adesanya's going to be tagging him up, sticking and moving, busting his nose up, busting his lip up, probably hit him with knees to the face, knees to the body, kick him, hit him with all the combos out the video game, and start to, like I said, take advantage of his aggression and use it against him. Then by the 3rd round, he starts to really wear him down. Costa starts to be breathing heavy, leaning over, getting picked apart. In the 4th round, he puts him away early in that 4th round via TKO. So in this fight, I got Israel Adesanya via 4th round TKO. And that concludes my fight predictions for the main card of UFC 253, Adesanya versus Costa. And as always, thanks for watching.